Well, first of all, among those who have seen it and can see it, we have to move from seeing it to ceasing to cooperate with it. People say that knowledge is power. It's not. The use of knowledge is power. Knowledge unused is knowledge not worth having. Nearly all of what I do now is focused on encouraging the awakened not to concede, not to submit, to the point where they go, look, we've done our best, but I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do the other unless I do what they say and get the jab or whatever. But the point I would strongly make to people is that the consequences of submission are infinitely more sinister and nightmarish than the consequences of ceasing to cooperate and refusing to submit. Well, I've been doing this now for 31 years, and you go through all the names, dates, places, information, absolutely vital that people know that. And I still do that. I've gone through many other areas of this whole conspiracy. But the more that I have looked at it, the more it breaks down into a very simple situation. And basically, it's a tussle.
Only on Be Positive.
Well, more than a tussle between two basic states of consciousness. Obviously, there's differences between them, and there's different mixtures between them. But basically, it's two states of consciousness. And I started scanning the ancient world, and you see an amazing common theme, and that is of a state of consciousness manifesting, personified in groups, secret societies, individuals, etc. That is seeking to manipulate and enslave humanity from the shadows. If they can pull the population into those low states of being, of perception, through not least fear, which is its greatest weapon, then they can connect frequency-wise to the population, and they can feed perceptions that people have. They can, for instance, shut off the critical thinking processes. Not only don't they care how they treat people, they get off on it. And they get off on it because of who they are. I mean, psychopaths get off and get enjoyment from control of other people. And the more that other people suffer and fear them, the more they get off on it. So I talk about these people in the Trafalgar Square speech I made a week or so ago. I'm openly calling these people demons now, because that's what they are. They're beyond psychopaths. They're demons. They're in the biblical sense of demons. So now we're looking at the mainstream media. We both know, going way back, I worked in the media, that the media bloody lies and it distorts. But I've never seen the global scale of coordinated script reading distortion and lies that have come from the global media that we've had in the last. The global cult is like a spider's web. And each strand of the spider is either an exclusive secret society right in the shadows next to the spider, and then you come out into the mainstream of society, and it's this web which has a central dictating mission control, like I say, that actually is the underpinning coordinating force between all these apparent, on the face of it, completely unconnected organizations, people, and organizations and businesses, etc. So the banking system appears not to be connected to Silicon Valley, but if you go into the web level, they're fundamentally controlled by the web level, the same people. But it's the people in the shadows that are calling the shots. But if we go to the global media and we're related to this Wetiko, what is the global media doing? It's lying by the hour, actually by the minute, to advance the agenda of the psychopaths that are Wetiko. And what is another trait of psychopaths in the hair test? What I said earlier, the ability to lie as much and as outrageously as necessary to get what you want. So the whole global media has been Wetiko'd. So there is no kind of sense of decency and genuineness about the global media, they literally are just clones that are turning out a narrative that most of them, not all of them, because there's some real thick people in the media, as you well know, most of them, great numbers of them, will absolutely know that they're lying. And then just to finish this point of Wutiko, you then come down to the general population. And, people who have awakened, I say awakened from Wutiko, the Wutiko coma, they are putting their hands on their head and they're saying, why can't these people see it? Look at the evidence. Why can't they see it? But, if you firewall a computer, it's not going to see parts of the internet because it's not going to process that information. And we're seeing this clear, obvious division
only on Be Positive
between those that I say are Wutiko attached, who simply have lost, if they ever had it, the ability to process information into a conclusion. So what an awakening person does is they take information and they process that information into a conclusion, which is unique to them most of the time. What they do is they take not only the information, but the information becomes an opinion. So they're not processing the information into a conclusion. The information is their opinion. And these people are so programmed, so manipulated in their perceptual state, so isolated in the five senses, that they are not going to see it until they expand their awareness beyond the five senses. And all the pressure is not to do that. So what happens is when you start to open your mind and let consciousness in, more expanded consciousness, not someone in a spaceship, your own consciousness, which the five sense bubble is shutting out, then you start to see things. They see the world as everything apart from everything else. That's how they decode reality. And so the five senses alone are never going to connect dots. They're only going to see dots. They're not going to see patterns and pictures and how it all fits together. It's expanded consciousness beyond the five senses that does that. And so if you can keep people in the five senses, they will see a world of random events and random happenings. They'll be completely confused. They won't be able to understand anything that's going on. So their guide to what's going on will be the official pronouncements from government. What does awakening mean? It means you awaken from the five senses. And at that point, you start to see pictures and patterns and connections and not just unconnected random dot. But with that gift of seeing comes responsibility. Simple question. Who's going to push back on this and who's going to bring it down and who's going to stop it happening? Well, the psychopaths aren't. They're making it happen. The government administration people who've been through, I explained this in Perceptions of a Renegade Mind, a massive, decades-long reframing, that's what they call it, reframing mind program, perception programming. So there'll be the unquestioning, yes sir, no sir, administrators of the psychopathic agenda. And the people who are fast asleep and attacking everyone who's not, they're not going to do it. What is this AI when you think about it? This connecting AI to the human brain and the human body, it's taking over the human perceptual processes so that they are forever enslaved in the five senses. So there is no connection to greater consciousness. You completely isolate them using AI. And this is the end game. All along, like I said, it's been a case of the foundation of the conspiracy is isolating the five senses from expanded states of awareness. And AI is going to give you the end game. First of all, the next 2 to 3 years are going to be brutal, are going to throw everything at us, and they're going to use the asleep to do it. And this is why, nearly all of what I do now is focused on encouraging the awakened not to concede, not to submit, to the point where they go, look, we've done our best, but I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do the other unless I do what they say and get the jab or whatever. But the point I would strongly make to people is that the consequences of submission are infinitely more sinister and nightmarish than the consequences of ceasing to cooperate and refusing to submit.